Hey guys, it's Jasmine and welcome back to my channel. Today we've got a mixed media project for you guys. This is kind of a spring and foliage inspired piece. I'm starting out with a 10-inch circle round I got this from Hobby Lobby. This is made of gray chipboard and it's layered together, so it's fairly thick. And what I've done is I've primed it with 3 layers of white gesso. And what it is a acrylic based medium primer. So this makes surfaces non-porous. So when I lay down my matte medium, which I'm doing right now, it allows things to stick to it rather than absorbing into the paper that it's made of. So this tissue paper I've got is by Tim Holtz and it's called Melange. And just a really printed tissue paper. And it's got some different print along the length of it, so I just pull out a length and see what I want for the background and then tear it off and apply it. And then I've got the matte medium to adhere it all the way around to the back. And that just takes a little bit of time, finesse to kind of crimp down the sides because it's going to fold over a little bit because it's a round object. So once that's done and dry, you want to let it sit. I think I let this sit overnight to dry. And I've got some clear gesso that I'm going to lay down over the top. And I'm using acrylic paints, which are typically very opaque. These are Delusions, and they're really high quality, but a little bit thinner consistency. So they go on pretty thick and pretty opaque. So I've got the clear gesso to help me blend it, but it also thins it. So you can see some of that print coming through in the background. And I'm using pink and green. Now pink and green are complementary colors. That means that when you mix them together to make brown. So I was very careful not to let these blend too much where they meet up. And the clear gesso also helps you to do that as well, is to be careful with the blending. So I'm using cut grass and fresh lime. Fresh lime has a little more yellow in it, so you can see that where it does blend with the pink, I get a little bit more of an orange tone, which is fine, better than brown, right? And so I use that to kind of bridge the gap between the pink and green. And then I do take it on a smaller brush through the brighter green. Now I don't mind the little bits and pieces of white showing through here and there. I think it gives it a little more rustic look. But I'm not perfect in my mixed media. I don't like things to look too overly done. So I like to leave things with little skips here and there or unblended edges, stuff like that. So I do go back through and blend here and there. And this doesn't take too long to dry because it is a thin coat. But I probably left it for an hour or so while I worked on some of the other pieces that are going to go on top. And that does dry matte, it won't dry shiny. So these are 2 chipboard pieces from Infinity Engravings, and they are linked in the description box on my blog post that goes with this video. So I've got these in a spray box with some scrap paper in the bottom to kind of absorb the excess ink. And when you're using water-based mediums on raw chipboard like this, you do not want to prime it with gesso because gesso is acrylic medium, like I said, and it will make it non-porous, which means anything you put on top will just sit on top, unless it's a paint that you thin out and you want it to sit there and dry. So don't use gesso. If you want these to be white so that your ink colors come through a little stronger, you can use watercolor grounds. And that will allow you to put water-based mediums on top without it just sitting and pooling. So the colors I've used are Twisted Citron from Distress and Cut Grass from Delusions, and then Bubblegum Pink, Funky Fuchsia, and Bubblegum Pink with Mica in it, all from Delusions. And then the super shimmery ones I put on top are from Lindy's. The green is called Lucky Shamrock Green. And I absolutely love the shimmer that they deliver. It's just gorgeous. So my canvas is to dry, And my middle piece there is vellum. So I went into Word, I created the wording with the different fonts and different sizes in a Word program, and then printed it out on vellum using my printer. I put some Stick It sheet adhesive on the back to make it a sticker, and then laid it down on my piece and used the backing paper over the top to burnish it down with my bone folder to avoid scratching it or leaving any marks or anything. And the Stick It adhesive is good because you can't see it through the vellum like you would a tape runner or glue dot, something like that. So here I've got a herringbone pattern stencil, and I've got some Delicata Golden Glitz pigment ink, which is gold obviously, but it wasn't showing up as much as I wanted it to. I wanted this to be subtle in the background so that you only saw it when you shifted it in the light, but it wasn't showing up. So all I did was go over the top with some gold perfect pearls. So in this light you can see it, but you see it more when you shift it in the light. So I wanted it to be a subtle background versus in your face feature, like the centerpiece. So this stencil is from Hot Off the Press, and I'm going to use some Versamark, which is a clear sticky ink, through the butterfly stencil, and then I'll use perfect pearls to help that show up. I just have this on a blending tool. Now you don't have to leave the stencil on to apply perfect pearls. In fact, it works better if you put the ink down, then remove the stencil, and then add the perfect pearls. But I was trying it both ways for some reason. So this mini stencil is a Tim Holtz Blossom, and I want to say it's from set 4 of the mini stencil sets. I don't think you can get this individually, at least not yet. I think you still have to buy it in the set. So I'm going to use some Versamark with that, and then Forever Green Perfect Pearls on that one. So obviously I've sped the video up just for time purposes, because you don't want to see me watch me sit here and blending for 20 minutes. So all in all, the whole project probably took me, I don't know, total of probably 10 hours over the course of a couple days. But when I'm doing the canvases, it's just kind of a time where I can just not think about life in general and kind of get away from the stress. So that's what I like about doing them. So here are my dry die cuts, and I'm going to apply those using the same matte medium that I used for the tissue paper. I'm just taking a palette knife and kind of dabbing it on the back. And what I like about using a matte medium is that if it does squeeze out from the edges, you won't see it. It dries matte and it dries clear, so you're not going to see a glob of glue sitting somewhere you don't want it. And these are nice and flexible, so if they do curl up a little bit when they're dry, I just put acrylic blocks on top, and it weighted them down enough to where they were good and adhered all the way across the whole die cut. So here's some E6000. This is an industrial strength glue specifically for metal. And I have a handful of metal pieces that I had from my stash that I'm going to add to this. And it's excellent glue. It does not release. Things won't fall off 6 months later or whatever. But you want to use it with ventilation. If you are inhaling the fumes from this stuff, you can get a headache pretty quickly. So it's currently winter in Michigan right now, but I still opened up my windows to make sure I had some fresh air coming in. And then once I had these down, I kind of set it by the window, excuse me, so that those fumes could escape. They don't linger after they're dried. You can't still smell it when it's dry. But while you're using it, it's pretty strong. So I'm just using the matte medium to adhere down all of my buttons and flat back pearls. And these wooden heart buttons, those are from Infinity Engravings as well. And then all of the buttons and flat back pearls and seed beads you see on there, those are all from 28 Lilac Lane mixes. So I think I have, I don't know, 6 or 7 different mixes, and those are all from those. Those are linked in the description box as well, in case you're interested in looking at those more closely and getting your hands on those. They're gorgeous, and they're so much fun to play with. And it works so well to have different sizes of things to add in, fill in here and there, and create the shape you want to create. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. And we will see you next time. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.